Oh, little Panasonic, when will you learn? We can only be stretched in so many ways. If you want to make the NBA and dunk on LeBron like I have, you can't practice soccer your whole life. You gotta pick a path, asshole. So today let's talk about if Panasonic should have withheld their full-frame dreams, stuck with micro loser fourths. Let's talk about it.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
So we're on the little Olympus EM1 Mark III with the fisheye 8mm 21.8. I just wanted to test the log. We're in log. The first time I tried this, it looked so over sharpened. Does it? It just looks like digital video, like terrible grandmother shit. Or is it? So I just wanted to see, because without that, this camera's useless. The dynamic range on the regular profiles hurts my soul. And I also brought the G9 with the little Leica 15mm, so we'll switch to that at some point for some reason. Wow. So of course we all wanted Panasonic to make the move up to full frame. We had their GH5 and it's like, oh man, imagine this in a full frame body. And then they kind of did it. They withheld the flippy screen. That was their first, like, what the hell? Seriously? I couldn't believe they did that. And then, like, we're seeing it's not quite the same. IBIS isn't as good. It's super heavy, expensive. All your lenses, what the hell are those? So their first move into full frame was a kind of failure, in my opinion. So Panasonic's been fighting an uphill battle. There was already Canon, Sony, Nikon with full-frame cameras, mirrorless. How do you compete with that? Like the new guy on the block, nobody's just gonna look at you like, okay, let's switch to you. I'll just sell these $1,000 million lens. But there was already plenty of competition at the top, and I don't know what Panasonic was really thinking. Like, why do they want a piece of that pie? It's a dying industry. Micro Four Thirds, they must have foresaw something. Like, okay, smartphones have definitely killed off our Micro Four Thirds units. The only hope is full frame, I get you, but not the way you're doing it currently. So many people have Canon lenses, like they're not just gonna... Do you ever compensate, Olympus? Now that we're in log. It's a sharp log. You don't want to pass too many of those, I'll tell you that much. But it's doable. We'll switch to flat soon. It's a similar thing. But switching camera systems is almost the dumbest thing you could do financially. It's just so much invested into the lenses if you got a lot. Unless you're a hobo YouTuber vlogger, you only buy like one lens, maybe two. With the Sony a7S III, I'm gonna buy the hell out of that thing. I'm leaning towards the 20mm, 21.8, and the Zeiss 55mm 1.8. And those are the only two lenses I would ever need, most likely. Vlogging with the 20, sometimes at home with the 20, and then a little more cinematic looks sometimes. You throw on that Zeiss. Good to go. But Panasonic, they entered in with the alliance. They made the wrong ass friends. Leica and Sigma. Sigma's a good friend, but you're not good enough to be Sigma's friend. You're not providing Sigma with anything to go off. They can make autofocus lenses, but you're not giving them anything. It's like, okay, just focus here, then miss the focus, come back to here, and then reacquire the focus. And Sigma can't do it. They're like, are you dumb? I switched to flat. So we're in flat now. Is it less dynamic range than before? Pay attention if the sun ever comes back out. It's Canada, it's not very strong. I've touched the sun here. Didn't even hurt. But if you really look at it, Panasonic entering full frame, they're more expensive, they're bigger and heavier, the glass is big and heavy and expensive, and they don't perform as well. But technically, they're making super reliable workhorse machines for filmmakers that want to manually focus or have someone pull focus, paying people to stand by your lens and touch it. You loser. In my opinion, Fuji saw this, the three-headed dragon at the top, Canon, Sony, Nikon, and they're like, no, I don't want a piece of that pie competing with that. Like, they already have established fans that are gonna stick with their system till they die. So Fuji made the dumber decision to go full up into medium format where nobody will tread those dumbass machines. If they come out with a GX50 type thing with phase detect and a flippy screen, and it's like $3,000 for max, I'd look at you, look at your face. So they saw like there's too much competition in full frame, so they stuck with their APS-C. They're smaller, kind of. Sony's pretty small compared to them, the full frame, but they're smaller than like Canon and Panasonic, especially the lenses, those f2 primes. Tone it. That 50mm Tony 2, I love that lens. I might buy it if I find a deal on a used one. Although if I buy the A7S III, I struggle to wonder and ponder what I would ever use the Fuji for. Even though I prefer the colors, I'm like, in what situation? So how has the Olympus been performing today in the flat profile with the fisheye lens? Let's switch to Panny Boy for the heck of it. We're on it. We are on it. Oh, the cinema's here. HLG. Color graded poorly for sure. I don't know what I'm doing, but I transformed some shit. You better not lose me once. Did the Olympus lose me? Panasonic, you have one chance before I throw you in a river. I just can't help but think that Panasonic might have been better off just staying with Micro Four Thirds and really focusing on it. That's what Olympus did, and look how that worked out for them. It's kind of like me, I'm just being honest here. I had the one YouTube channel, Vegetable Police, for years, and that's all I focused on. Now I have two channels. My attention is split, so my videos over there maybe not as good anymore. I don't have the time to put everything into it, so maybe this channel is better than that one. It's like we can't do too many things at once, so Panasonic having both systems, it's like we're getting restless on the Micro Four Thirds side. Not many lenses coming out. What are you gonna update? Like Sony full frame, Canon full frame surpassing your stats of the Micro Loser. And it's like, now you're just pure downsides. Smaller sensor for no benefit. It's not even lighter, it's heavier. This thing right now, except that lens, is tiny and beautiful and never loses me in autofocus. It's just not smooth. Like, what is that? I'll stop you down to Tony 2. Maybe you'll stand a chance. If you really think about it, what are the advantages of a Micro Four Thirds system? The main one is that they're so much smaller and lighter, and the lenses are tiny. Should be, but they're not. Imagine if Panasonic would have had like a tiny thing with 10-bit 4K 120p, little giant micro pixel size sensor. Imagine their GM1 style body, like something super tiny and some new prime lenses. And it's like, wow, that's so much smaller than full frame. Wow, that I might just bring that. It's good enough image quality. Then you take the sacrifice. But for right now, you're bringing as much weight here. If I put that 12mm, oh no. Even Panasonic themselves managed to make a full frame camera lighter than their GH5. So it's like, imagine what the competition is doing. Sony's at 699 grams. It's almost the same weight as the S5, but it's so much better in every single category that you just wouldn't reach for it. I think it was a mistake. Going to full frame, they didn't make the splash they needed to. It's not a very desirable system. The lenses are too expensive. This whole trifecta sister system, it's not a good group of friends. They all like the same boyfriend, and they're fighting each other. Like this, what's happening? I'm waiting. It ain't happening. There. That shouldn't happen ever. Like, there was no options. Only Gordon Lang, he's the only one that's never out of focus because it holds it right in here nice and safe. I'm the only option. Don't give your camera other options to focus on. If you fill your head with a shot, even if it loses you, you're still the whole shot. It'll get your forehead. In my opinion, what Panasonic needs to do, come out with a pro camera, an S1H Mark II, S2H, dumb name already, I ain't buying that, that actually has phase detect autofocus, and that's it, we're done. Just continue on doing your good things, but bite the bullet. It just reminds me of people who are stubborn and want to stick to their guns even though it's clearly not going to work, like Kodak. It's like, oh, digital, huh? Yeah, that won't catch on. They keep making film. It's like, oh, okay. Where do we sign the bankruptcy forms? Oh, okay, yeah. Johnson, that's fine. Just Kodak Johnson. I'm gonna put a heart. Yeah, I'm a moron. I deserve that. Like right now, electric cars are coming out. Smart cars that can drive for you. And they don't burn gasoline that pollutes our environment. Like, that's gonna phase out gas burning cars eventually. So Ford, all these companies should be planning ahead. It's like, okay, let's start making these now. For the love of Pinocchio's workbench, stop trying to tweak contrast detect autofocus. Stop trying to improve it. Like, okay, we can detect this now. You can't move. You're like an old granny on the dance floor. She thinks she could do the moves she used to do. She can't. Don't even try to do it. I don't care that you can detect my hand right now. And you're saying, oh, we just added all these algorithms. We can detect the animals off in the distance. You can't physically do it with your system. You have to move on and bite the bullet. Okay, we start new. Maybe it'll suck the first couple times, but you'll have moments, like Fuji moments, where you're in focus and it's smooth and it's like, okay, all right, this was the right move. Maybe all their lenses for Micro Four Thirds can't actually handle phase detect. I notice these Leica lenses do not behave well on my Olympus. Whereas when I put an Olympus lens on, it never loses me. That 12mm Tony-2, too bad there wasn't enough Tony-2, get real. That could be what's holding them back, and I feel for these companies like Fuji, all their old lenses just do not work well in video autofocus. The 56mm 1.2, super slow, but it was smooth. It was good once it got you. I made a video on my other channel just sitting in my room and it never lost me once. It was perfect. You could totally use that for video, but they kind of have to re-update everything. It's a lot of work, I bet. All these lenses, imagine having to redo every single lens and then sell your old ones and like, oh, we ordered how many? 50,000 of those. Oh boy, how are you gonna sell that? Did you lose me? I'm not even sure Micro Four Thirds has a place. Seeing the dynamic range of these cameras sometimes. We're in a nice cloudy day now. This is the first time, so this might be the most glorious image we've ever had. But even then, it's like, I don't see the advantages This is already pretty heavy. I'd rather have the Sony a7S III, a little more weight, big deal. Got a bunch of features. So I don't know how much success Panasonic's gonna have in the future divided both ways, doing half-ass full frame, half-ass micro loser. You gotta go on one. I don't know, I would've went full frame myself, but do it better. Micro loser, if you can come out with a tiny one, we might have something, but tough conundrum, you're in there, painting boy. So like, will you do it? Are you gonna do it? It's flashing back and forth between eye and body detect, but it's detecting neither. I don't know why I'm so dark. Just expose for me. You got me? And now you're exposing for something good? Micro Four Loser just doesn't have the range. This is, oh boy, this is a bad shot. That's on me. This is on me. It was a dumb shot anyway, of facing away from the sun. Oh boy, I should have brought a light for that one. Sorry, painting boy. I keep putting you in compromising positions and then blame you for not being able to escape with handcuffs. That's on me, but let me know what you think. Should Panasonic focus on one or the other? Which one should they focus on? I'd be more excited about full frame, but it wouldn't be nice. It wouldn't be nice having a tiny camera, like super tiny. Wouldn't be bad. So I'm gonna leave. Thanks for buying a Panasonic Pony of Hope shirt. Subscribe for more videos and I'll say that.